Welcome to another Pragmatic Minute. My name is Brian Knight and this is Devin Knight, and today we're going to talk about Scrum. Now Scrum is a project management methodology, and we're going to show you a variation of Scrum, and we're only kind of touching the tip of the iceberg here. So notice a lot more to this, but we just want to give you a general gist of what this is. So Scrum is a project management method to where we get a central team together with the business analyst, the project managers, the DBAs, the developers, and whoever else is interested in this project. We come to a conclusion about what really we want to do this month. It's called a sprint. It could be a month, it could be 2 weeks, whatever. We take that iteration, or sprint, and we come up with a Scrum board like this. So we've all come to a compromise, and we've all said this is what it's going to take to get this project finished. And then we meet once a day for 15 minutes, no more than 15 minutes, to talk about what we accomplished. So Devin, what do you like about Scrum yourself?
Yeah, some of my favorite things about doing Scrum meetings is it's highly adaptable. So at any point when the project, if there's any kind of sudden changes, it gives you a nice ability to come together and make any kind of come together on an agreement on some changes. You also have the ability to see what everyone else is working on, so if you have any problems, you can easily get help from other people that are doing something similar.
Gotcha. So there's really, in a Scrum session, there's really 3 questions you want to ask of every single buddy on that team. What they accomplished since the last Scrum session, what they're going to accomplish until the next Scrum session, and lastly, what kind of roadblocks they have. There's a one person that's in charge of the session called a Scrum Master, who I'll play the role in this case, and his job is to remove those roadblocks. So he's acting kind of like a project manager, but it could be you as a team leader or as a developer running this session also. So let's practice one real quick.
Okay.
So Devin, tell us what you accomplished yesterday.
Right, so yesterday on this project that we've been working on, I wrote the stored procedure that I needed to have for this report, and you can see that was in my in process, and because I've written that, I'm ready to put that into my testing stage. So you say we're going from our in process to actually testing that stored procedure that I wrote. Okay. And then tomorrow what I'm going to work on is my report. So I'm going to take this from my to-do, and I'm going to place this in my design. It's ready to be designed. And first thing tomorrow, I'm going to start on the design of that.
So what kind of roadblocks do you have then, Devin?
This is one of the kind of typical things you'll see with these kind of projects is I have a lot of business changes or a lot of business rule changes with the reports. So the end user likes to see a lot of things that change on this report that I'm designing. So I'm having to kind of not fight, but go back and forth with my business user on requirements for this report.
So as you can see here, Devin stated what he did very, very easily. And because of that, everybody's now aware of that. And we go around the room. Again, it should take no more than 10 minutes.
Hey, can I get that report in my email each day? The report you wrote for me?
So we just heard some requirements that were added during the middle of a sprint. So how do we handle that? So Devin, how would you handle that?
Well, there's a couple things we could do. We could deprioritize something that we already have in our chart that we have, or we could place something in the parking lot. So we could say, this report that I'm planning on starting tomorrow, we could deprioritize this to put it kind of in a parking lot, which you can see down here. And we can move this, if this is really the new priority that we need to have, we could replace that and say, this is the first thing I need to be doing tomorrow.
Okay, so we put this in the parking lot, which means it'll be either handled in the next sprint, or if we have time, we'll handle it in this sprint. And I also color-coded this as well. So I color-coded the sticky note to let people know that this is a brand new priority, and hey, we're missing our deadline, because if they said, oh, I have to have both. If we had to have both, that color coding really, really comes in handy. Because now I can say, well, we missed our deadline because you added 14 new priorities. So however you want to handle this gives you something physical that you can actually talk to the business user about and actually make exchanges with. And say, all right, well, that's coming in, this is going out, and actually make a trade-out system also. Right. Okay. And,
so can you show me how to use Excel to connect to the analysis services database?
Okay, so we got another request from a business user, and this is a very, very common in a Scrum session. What happened here is he's asking a question that's way out of scope of those 3 questions that we just answered.
Right.
So how do we handle that, Devin?
Yeah, when this is some kind of question that's going to take, this shouldn't be any longer than the 15-minute meeting. So if it's something that's going to take longer than 15 minutes to explain, you really need to talk to that person and say, can we talk about this offline? And any other parties that are interested in about that particular question, then they can come along and with that small meeting set aside after the Scrum to handle that one problem.
Right, so the big key there is don't derail your meeting. If there's any kind of questions to say, well, this is not working, and you see it lingering for more than 30 seconds or a minute, call a timeout and have this comment, like a safety word almost that you use, a timeout that you use and say, let's handle this after the meeting. Anybody interested, come back after. That's a great point.
Right.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this Pragmatic Minute. Again, there's lots of different ways of using Scrum. We showed you a slight variation of it, but please research more on out there, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.